Loz heard it. And then smelled it. He went, you just yourself. I went, yeah. He went, are you all right? I went, yeah. He said, should we carry on? I went, yeah. And we did 10 reps. I think we come first or second.
He asked you mid-lift.
One of the toughest strongmen in history, right here. It's not a beauty contest. Is it Strongman? I'm to be alive. If you can't do that, then on the way we go.
Welcome to another episode of the Giants Life Strongman podcast. As ever with Daz. Wow, I was about to say Loz. I do apologise.
Bloz. Blasey.
I'll start that probably because I don't want to insult Loz. I know what Nev's thinking. I'm going to put that bit in.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the Giants Life podcast with Daz, Brycey, myself. But the guest this week is none other than one of the finest brains in all of Strongman. None other than Rob Frampton. Rob, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well.
The finest brain could make it, so we've got Rob Frampton.
Yeah. I was about 5th in line, 6th in line.
Sorry, man.
Mate, currently outside, training shortly, is Adam Bish at the moment.
He is.
Hopefully, in a few months' time, he's going to do the unthinkable and pull 505 off the floor.
He will.
And you just said it there. That was there's no doubt at all in your mind.
No, don't.
What's the process been like for this?
Bish is so dialed into what he does. He's so just clever with his training, his day-to-day. Since obviously being with his rugby background and him being coach for Quins and stuff, he made that decision like Ed did back in the day where he wanted to go full-time. That, like it was for Ed, was literally the catalyst which propelled him forward into his whole strongman future, so to speak. So he now literally gets up, and from the time he gets up to goes to bed, everything is dialed into strongman. He's got one thing in mind, obviously, to win World's Strongest Man. But this year, I wouldn't say it's taken a back step. I think it's part of the whole kind of loop which all strongmen do to gain that supremacy of winning World's Strongest Man. Is part of that is to pull the 505.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he would certainly do him a lot of good. I think it would get, actually, if he did 505, I could see Bish going on and winning Worlds if he were to do that. But I think he'd need that for his confidence.
I think so, yeah.
He's up there with one of those guys now, like you see him as a finalist every year now. I think he's been 3 times in the final. It's not just luck, you know what I mean? No. He's getting there every year.
Hey, let's just give Rob his dues. How many times World's Strongest Man competitor?
I did 3.
3.
Yeah, 3.
So one less than Sadler. You did another couple fringe reserve type.
Yeah, came in and watched and clapped and did all the bits and pieces in the crowd.
So yeah. That was me, twice me.
And the first one, funnily enough, was the qualifier. And it was the only qualifier in this country, and it was at Darren's gym up the road.
We were just talking about that, but previously.
That was from my place at World's Strongest Man, when right. I couldn't go because I was ill. And I put that on for you guys, the guys who I thought.
And you won,
possibly
right?
going. You won,
yeah. Won it,
yeah.
Good contest.
Good show,
it was cracking contest.
I was just actually saying in one of the last podcasts how many people we had watching. It was pretty impressive.
It was filled up. Everything was filled up.
Just in the gym car park. Yeah, it was good.
And the fact you said the money you pretended it was going to charity, but really it was for yourself.
Yeah, well, that's where indirectly that show was sort of how I got involved with promoting, because I thought, wow, it was great. You know,
I like a bit of this.
Yeah,
you needed something.
Throughout a lot of these, we are asking people, our guests, who's the greatest strongman of all time. For you, who is it?
Zydrunas.
Again, no question.
No question.
Okay, if we were to be more specific, a question we asked in a recent podcast was, which year and which person was the best strongman? So, for example, Bish said he thought 2018 was the most complete strongman ever. I'm going Kazma 82.
I would probably go. Zydrunas won his first Worlds.
So I still put Pudzianowski. That's what
Maris was
I ignored that.
Maris did some unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. Zydrunas just had that. He's always had that slow burn. So he's been doing it 20 odd years, maybe longer, and he's always been up and around. Even in the 90s when he, the Bahamas and stuff, when he dropped the stone on his chest, and he still plays like third. He was just still so phenomenal. He detached both quads, came back the following year, come third again, second again. Malta 2009 when he won his first Worlds. he just looked amazing. Just looked so good. I think maybe it's tricky because Brian gets in between a few of his titles.
Brian Shaw before he hurt his arm.
Yeah, Brian
I think it was 2011.
Yeah.
He would have a good argument to be.
Yeah,
he
you're
was
right.
Terrifying. He was just really on the rise, and he just overtook Zydrunas when Zydrunas was on the rise.
He was. But that could have been
really exciting. In fact, the year before, remember, he lost the title in South Africa.
Is that with the sandbag drop?
The sandbag dropped off, you know. It was like, and then remember Zydrunas falling backwards with it as well. Yeah. That was a heck of an event, actually.
I don't think Brian gets the credit he deserves, by the way.
No, he absolutely doesn't. O'Brien is, were he to win the World's Strongest Man this year, and he absolutely is one of the favourites, despite being 40. I believe, in my opinion, that makes him the greatest of all time. Absolutely. He ties Pudzianowski, and nobody can say anything about the era and how there was another challenge event. I mean, you were at one point you weren't doing World's Strongest Man, Daz, right? And you came back in 06, right?
Yeah.
There was like 05, whatever it was. Was it 06 you came back?
Yeah.
Yeah, just in time to do it. Yeah.
Also, would that be the biggest gap between world title wins? Because I think would 15, be his last. So 7 years between wins if he were to get that.
Probably, I think.
God, yeah.
I can't think of anyone who's sort of at that kind of.
The problem is, I said this before. You see, like with someone like Brian, or especially with Brian. So Brian's won it 4 times, right? When let's say he came 5th a couple of years ago, and then he came 2nd last year. People go, oh yeah, that's Brian. He's lost it. It's like he's lost it. He won't win it again. When he came 2nd, he was only a point behind Tom going into the Stones, I believe, and he's always been just behind. If anybody else came 2nd, you'd be like, oh, well, they'll probably win it next year. But because Brian came 2nd and he's won it so many times, they say, well, that's it. He can never get 1st again. 2nd's a massive thing. And people write him off for coming 2nd.
Yeah, so true, isn't it?
It's like he gets
so
true. Oh, he only came 2nd. It's like, but if he'd never won it before, it would be a bigger thing.
It certainly looked like he tailed off in 2020 when he came 5th. Was it 5th?
It was 5th, yeah.
Or was it even 7th? I can't remember.
Hamstring though, didn't he?
I think he was 5th in 2019. And then 7th, and it looked like he was on the decline. Yes, I mean hamstrings, and he was just big, and then he really, talk about changing his whole look last year.
He looks a lot better now.
But I guess the point was Pudzianowski's 5 titles. I would say probably 3 of them were against everybody pretty much, and then 2 of them came a bit easier because not everybody was there.
Yeah, but that wasn't his fault, was it? You know what I mean?
Not his fault.
Win against people that are there.
The only win against, but I guess the world was slightly divided then.
It was, but when he did, obviously, in all those, he did dominate.
He was. I would say his biggest domination was probably 03, I think, in Zambia the second time. He was just off the scale there. But it was only Vereshchuk who managed to beat him in one event. And he lost one event of 8.
04, Vereshchuk came through and won it.
Yeah, and I think he won the deadlift for reps, if I remember correctly. He beat Zydrunas and he was hammering everybody and everything.
I, as somebody who, say, doesn't necessarily like Strongman but stumbles across it, I think Pudzianowski is one of the best adverts for Strongman ever. Because when you just see his rig and you think, who the hell is that guy?
Looks unbelievable.
And he's dominant. He looked almost like a bodybuilder at times. That was just nuts.
And competitive as hell. He still loves it.
Yeah.
So, Rob, you've been involved a lot in like some great moments because of your, coaching, and you're always backstage supporting the guy. So, when you look at a lot of the world records and things like that, you're always lurking in the background. So, what's been your big moments? I think I know what you're going to say, but what's your big moments that you most enjoyed and most proud of?
Oh God, Eddie when he pulled that 500.
Wow.
That was just because we both set that bar up, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
we leveled it off, and we kind of both looked at each other, and we couldn't quite believe that there's 500 kilos on that bar.
Eddie was so particular when he came and he said, "Please, guys, I want you to." He wanted a bit of tape up the middle.
Yeah,
and he wanted it. He wanted it exactly right. He wanted it to be measured. He wanted a piece of tape up the middle so he could see where to stand.
Yeah,
he literally. This is how he wanted it, and we talked about it before. And then it was mine and Rob's responsibility to make sure it was right.
Pressure, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course it was.
Because the place still, it was filling up with close to 12,000 people.
Yeah.
And they were watching us, and we're both on our hands and knees, making sure that this 500 kilos, and it's quite hard to roll 500 kilos. It's it's not like a slam ball, and it had to be absolutely. So it was in line of both the pieces applied, both the tape down the middle, the absolute middle of the bar, and it was just.
I didn't want to mess it up.
No, I didn't.
But I mean, that day when he pulled that, obviously we all wanted him to pull it. A lot of people were very sceptical whether he would do or not, including me. But literally, we've got sort of videos of the audience. A lot of people were crying in the audience. Like literally, it was so emotional.
Yeah, it was.
It was unbelievable.
Ramsey was in the audience. Ramsey was a paying member of the audience that year.
Yeah. What was it like? Because we were there working, if you like. What was it like to be in the audience there?
It was. So, first of all, there was that, everyone was talking about, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? Then he speed reps 465, was it? And all of a sudden, I remember hearing the noise, and the noise was, ooh. And that was everyone going, oh, wow, this is on.
This is on, yeah.
And then seeing him when he's got a towel over his head, when is he going to go for it? When is he going to go for it? And then it was a bit of a dead time. And then all of a sudden, it's happening now. And then he just stood there. And when you see that man bend down, my ex-girlfriend at the time said, you're paying £80 to watch a man stand up. And it was worth every penny. When he put his hands on the bar, and it's, here we go. I don't know how long I've seen it back on YouTube a number of times, but that felt like 20 seconds watching that go up. And I remember just looking at my mate who was actually holding his phone, and in the end he stopped even recording. He was just looking, we were looking at each other going, it felt like a moment in history. An actual moment in sport.
And we so obviously we're running the show, and you're trying to keep sane, because you've got all these things going on, cameras and everyone, and you've got to carry on with the rest of it. This is the first event of Europe's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
And everyone lost their mind a bit.
Didn't know quite what to do after.
Everyone was just like, whoa. And then you were like, right, I better go interview him. It's like the weirdest thing. We all sort of got lost in the moment.
It just didn't. I think, let's be all really honest here. It was kind of a mythical number. And I must admit, I thought, just get it off the floor a couple of inches and we can do this all again next year. We'll make a fortune. Fuck me, it's going up. Yeah. It's up. He's got it. Put it down, man. Put it down and don't die. Put it down.
Do you know,
it was just like a shock.
And I get it. I don't think he'd change this, to be quite honest with you. He stood up too long.
Yeah.
Because he stood up, he's like, he's got it. And I think he thought, I'm going to hold this for a while now, because I'm not going to be in this position again. And that's when his nose started bleeding and everything like that. Because you imagine being stood there with that weight, and he's rocking. And I'm like, please put it down, Ed. And I think that's where he went all dizzy. Because you would never do that, would you?
Well, if you look at the slow motion head on, it's like a sort of, it's coming up, and then he's there, and he's clearly in some wild ecstasy, but then his eyes just,
yeah,
and it's like and off,
yeah,
it's just too much.
Yeah, it was,
and I think he probably almost faints actually.
Can we tell the secret about what happened with the Channel 5 broadcast? In terms of cutting the close-up shot that we see on the Channel 5 broadcast of that.
What story were you saying, man? What was the accusation?
It's probably a secret for a reason, Ramsey. We're going to tell everyone now.
It's good. If you're tuning into this, it's worth it. So basically, when they cut to the close-up of Eddie's face as he locks out, it's actually the close-up of his speed rep 465, because there was so much blood that it was unbroadcastable.
If I told you that, then we did
it. That's what I heard from somebody at Channel 5, obviously. Not yourself, Colin. It was somebody from Channel 5.
Do you know what? My memory's so bad now, I can't even remember if we did that. It wouldn't be surprised if we were asked to change it.
Okay.
Because it was, it doesn't sound like the kind of thing I would do. In fact, I remember now. Yes, there was an executive producer who's no longer there who thought it was a bit unsavory for family audiences to see that much blood, and it didn't change the results or anything, and it was the same person doing the same lift. So I do remember that now. Yeah, it was very much, not what I wanted. Yes, but sometimes there's higher powers.
What were you saying to him before? And maybe it's on broadcast.
Horrific. To get into his mindset. obviously a lot of training, a lot of coaching stuff with people, and with those lifts, these big one maxes is a lot of mindset control and dialing in that one specific thing, which, you know, we've all got buttons that press each other, whether it's angry or memories or something. So, you know, speaking to Ed and understanding what he's passionate about, what he's really, you know, his family and stuff, and things like that is obviously great ammunition for me to talk to him while he's setting up. So it's like a scale. So as he's resting, he's in between. So we had everything set out in the back where he was going to sit, and he's always physio, and he had his table full of like sweets and chocolate and all his isotonics and stuff. So that was all sorted. Then we had like a whiteboard, and I set out on the whiteboard 3 lifts, and it was lift 1, which was he came in at 420 because he pulled a couple of like unbelievably silly reps at 400 out the back. So I said, right, so we didn't number them, because if you know, I don't like to work, especially on records and 1 rep maxes, is numbers. I much rather put them as a tally or as a set or a rep. So we did rep 1, rep 2, rep 3. And then when he went out and pulled the 420, I crossed off rep 1. And then when he went out and equaled the world record, I crossed off rep 2. And then all we see it as is, you got 1 more rep. 1 more rep today and we're done. So he hasn't got to think about the half time, he hasn't got to think about resetting or any of the stuff that could maybe change his mental state, or could maybe think, I'm just about to do the unthinkable here. All I had him thinking about was, what I said on the whiteboard was rep 3. That's it. So
just simplifying it, basically.
Yeah, just condensing it down into such a small amount of information, because the body or the mind, and all of us here, will take on different information so much differently. Even if it is just 1 sentence or 1 word, 1 letter, we all take it on differently. So condense it down to 1 thing. All he has to think about is that 1 thing, not the whole grandeur, the whole theatre of being outside. So by dialing it into 1 small specific, which he's done throughout the years and years and years of him progressing with Strongman, but also the record that he was about to do in the gym, he knows in his head, all he's got to do in that session, so to speak, is 1 more rep. That's it. So as we're talking about, we're talking about how his body feels, how he's feeling. Is he taking on enough fluids? Does he feel good? Does he need a pee? How's his suit? Just these simple little things. He's going, yeah, all cool. So not even getting into his head. Nothing's even bothering him. He's not even worried about what's going on.
When's the big turn-on moment then?
So obviously I work a lot on cues and triggers. So cues to me are things that you'll do pretty much before you get to the bar, so to speak, or before you'll get to the Viking, or before you'll pick up the dumbbell, will be small, regimented cues, which are a positive signal to your brain. So it'll be something like, right, so we're going to remember your set position. So he's like, yeah, set position. So he knows that your set position is his stance and his hands, right? So that's his first cue. So I'll go, right, so remember your set position, get it lined up. So we've lined the bar up. It's perfect. All you got to do, set position and go. Right, yeah. So Darren comes back, and I think Jonty's there about, he's next up, and Darren's going, is he ready? Give him the thumbs up. You're other side now, aren't you? Walk around the other side. I'm this side. So I've kind of switched the kettle on now. So we're starting to boil. So the water's not quite there. So I'm just talking about different things. And then I'll switch to things that I know trigger Ed. So family, his children. That sounds terrible, really, doesn't it? But I'm doing all as a plus for him. So we're talking about different things. So you can kind of see, and I can see the vein in his neck pulsing more. So I know his adrenaline's going. So, but it's not just the air there. So we're halfway through the kettle. So I then moved to things about doubt. So another trigger for Ed is he believes in himself, and I believed in him that he could pull 500, but he wasn't too sure if the crowd did. And that to him is a huge thing, because people doubting him is big. You know, we don't like doubt, do we? We hate people doubting us. It makes us feel like, not inadequate, but it's a worry, isn't it? So I've dialed that into him about this crowd. They've literally wasted their money here. They think you can't do it. This is the time now to prove them wrong. So he's like, yeah.
Is that why you started to show them, Eddie? Show them.
Yeah. So another trigger.
I remember hearing that.
So we're basing through. So now the kettle's just coming to boil. So I know I've got maybe 30, maybe 40 seconds before I let him go, before it's time, because you can overboil. the kettle, and then it's lost.
In fact, I think I can picture your voice. I've heard it so many times. Show them, Eddie. Show them, Eddie.
Yeah.
Now's the time, Eddie.
Yeah.
Now's the time.
So
Eddie.
it's literally, I know you can do it. You know you can do it. Show them. Now's the time. And that was the last trigger. It was now's the time. And that's when he did his rock, things, straps on, bang, up. Perfect.
And what was he thinking of? Presumably, you shared it before, Eddie, hasn't he? About his family, and he was
About him literally picking that weight off of his kids. They were going to die. If he didn't pick that weight off, his kids were gone. They were dead.
and the idea being that you release so much adrenaline in one big hit.
So you're literally bottling it up. So you're like with the words and everything else, you're condensing all the words, all the lift into one tiny little funnel, and that's the lift. Bang. That's the trigger. The last trigger.
But it worked.
At what point did you know that he got the rep? So you know,
I knew he was going to lift it a year before. I knew he did it. He could do it.
But you know, for example, some people, if they get it to their knees, it's up. Or
The
some people,
minute that bar came off the floor, it was done.
wow.
Because the power, we all saw that how much, and that's a good bar. That's an Oki bar. They're a handmade bar. They're expensive. I think it's one of yours, isn't it? Your bar from your gym, I think.
Yeah.
That bar is super.
And Eddie's lift's very even as well. If you
Beautiful.
it literally goes. You know, some people are fast and slow over the legs. Eddie just always seemed to move, even when he repped, it always seemed to move very even.
It's almost like a powerlifting rep, actually.
But he did something I always thought was quite unusual, Ed. He had his head sort of almost curled into his chest, which seemed to, take away that sort of change of movement as you pass the knees.
He
just kind of drove all the way up.
He condenses into his back and his spine, where he sits in that lovely deep squat position. He almost keeps his head over the bar.
Yeah.
Is that about getting his arms lower?
Kind of, because he's such a big guy, was such a big guy back then, he couldn't do the shoulders over the bar and then sit, clutch and up. He has to sit back into the lift first and then come up with his legs. Because he's so powerful in his hips and his legs. We all lift differently, and with deadlift, a lot of deadlifters, Bish is a narrow stance, glute, hamstring lifter. And he's very narrow and he'll pull with his hamstrings, his glutes. That's why his backside's so massive. Looks like someone's following him. He pulls like that. Ed is a super powerful with his deadlift. He was a quad puller, so his front quad, upper back, and that's how he pulls. Almost like if you look on the side and you if you could move the video around, it would look like he was on a leg press. And this is another thing that I coach a lot with people doing lifts and stuff. One of the most sort of like underrated piece of kit in a gym is a leg press, because it can do so much to your deadlift.
Here's a question for you. Would you advise, as a coach, and in particular, you know a lot about deadlifting, have lifted some big weights yourself, would you advise any form of neck adjustment before a deadlift?
Oh, God, no. Well, then it puts you into hospital for 3 days.
Do you know this story, Rancy?
Was that before deadlift? Before a long
Yeah, it was before deadlift in Australia.
Yeah, so I was at the Melbourne Games in Australia.
Yeah.
And I'd just done the log, and I was to strict press. So I had about 180, strict pressed it, and I could feel a rib out on my right side. I was like, and I couldn't roll it, I couldn't squeeze it. And there was a physio guy there that was dealing with the CrossFitters, the powerlifters, and I thought he knows his onions. He must know what he's doing. I said, "Oh, hello, mate." I said, "I've got a rib out." I said, "No, it is. It's here." He went, "Oh, okay." He said, "Can I just test everything just to make sure everything's level?" I said, "It is. I'm midway through a comp, but I just need this rib putting back." So he said, "Oh, okay." So he put it on the bed, found it, and it was raised, because I've done it many times. Popped the rib back. I went, "Oh, lovely, thanks." He said, "Can I just turn it over just so everything else is straight now? I've adjusted it." I went, "Well, that's quite straightforward." So he checked everything, hips and ribs, and he went, "Oh, can I just feel your neck?" And he's just checking round. I was like, "Yeah." And then he went, "Oh, I'm just going to do a quick adjustment." Before I could go, "Mate, don't," he's gone bang. And he's adjusted my neck that way. And I think, from what I can remember, he got 7 clicks out of my neck.
What? 7 clicks?
Yeah. So I've literally got off the bed.
What?
And I've gone, "What the hell are you doing?" He went, "Oh, I'm just kind of, just trying to well, I don't know what he's doing." So as I've got off, my brain has gone a little bit whirly, and I'm over in the bin throwing up. Because whatever he's done is now into like a bit of a chain reaction of what my body's trying to do. So I've now thrown up because I don't know what's going on. Come outside to try and do a deadlift, and I don't know where I am.
That was refereeing. So
what was the opening weight? It was only like 360 or 380 or
Yeah,
something.
It went down to the bar, and I saw it. I saw
looking great, wasn't he?
And he strapped on like that, and you had no energy. and then you went to pull it a little bit, and then you just stood up like that, and you were just wobbling a bit, and then you went down again. I went, Rob, something's not right, mate. You're not right. So I just said, no, mate, you aren't going to pull this. You're not right. You could just see it isn't going to go, and then obviously you went backstage. Next thing into hospital. Yeah, and what had happened?
Was it aorta?
He'd partially torn my.
Was it carotid artery? Not aorta, carotid.
That could have killed you.
Still,
yeah. Could have put me on a stroke for 3 days.
With all that pressure as well. Luckily, it was only, I think it was a tiny nick, but that's what made him so dizzy and everything. And obviously, it clogged up instantly. And basically, it was he was having a bleed.
Yeah, almost a stroke. Wow. And because I was so big, they couldn't put the neck thing on, so they had to make do with about 4 towels around my neck, and I had to stay like that for 2 days.
Yeah, to be fair, as well as I think I spoke to the physio. I think I did. I called him up or chiropractor, but because we were like, hey, this is because we were in a country where you really have to pay quite a bit of money for medical treatment, and he said, yeah, there is always a 1 in a whatever 100,000 people chance that could happen. Then it's not, when someone goes, in
all fairness to the organisers of that competition, that guy wasn't actually working there. No. He just jumped in to help out. I
think he was just helping out as well. To give the guy who's due, but he was trying to do his best, I think, and it wasn't exactly good. Was that the last time you ever had competed then? Did you come back and do much more after that?
No, I did a bit after that, but I couldn't, I had trouble with blood pressure. So if I lifted too heavy, anything past about 340, I'd black out. I couldn't adjust.
Did you rise through?
Okay, exactly, yeah, 340 pounds. But you see, funnily enough, the stats on not sure what you call the kind of net clicking, even those numbers of the 1 in, let's say, 500,000, the reason it's as high as that is actually because of what happens in Thailand, because you've got so many untrained people and also because of barbershops where you go and have a close... Obviously, being so hirsute as I am.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, so that's why the chances of something going majorly wrong are actually.
What barbershops do you go to? But crack your neck as well.
Yeah, so if you have a close shave, the sort of the Turkish kind of places.
Wet shave, sort of like a.
Yeah.
And a geezer puts his hands on your head and cracks you.
Yeah, so they'll if you want, you can have a massage and they'll click and.
To be honest with you, since that happened, I can't bring myself anyone to do it.
No, I've never.
I had to get a massage. Someone just crack your neck a bit. I can't. My mind won't let anyone do that now. Because I always think about that.
You have to be super loose for that kind of thing and just totally go with it. I imagine you'd be, mid warming up.
He just done a lot.
All I wanted was my rib. I just wanted my rib put back. But he thought he could give me a quick MOT mid event.
So, you were there for a while, weren't you?
Yeah, 3 days in hospital. And then come back about 8 weeks later, I had this massive $4,000 bill. And I rang him and went, what do I do with this? He went, do you know, I'm not too sure. I said, let me get my old. So I spoke to the physio, rang him and said, look, I've got this bill. He said, no, I'll pay for it. So
I kind of worked with him. So he did sort it in the end.
Yeah, he paid for it all. Yeah.
Good on him. Yeah, he got insurance. He had insurance for these things,
Yeah.
Of course he did.
Things happen.
You hope so.
And now he works for Giants Live.
Yeah, he's just a boom operator or something. Yeah, that was fun.
But he's done it. Rob's done the rounds, man. I remember in Ukraine, we've had a riot with you everywhere. There's many.
We've had some fun.
Do you ever do any of the? You didn't do the team event with Sadler in Ukraine or any other?
We didn't do a team. No, did team one at. Oh God, we did a team one. Yeah, Body Power. Didn't we?
Did, yeah.
Myself and Loz and Ken, and you. I
had Gary Gardner and
Gary Gardner, the world's hairiest man,
and I think Jay Hughes.
Yeah. And we had
Eddie was in it as well. Eddie had a team, and then Brian Shaw was in a team as well.
And we had a 2-man deadlift. And that week I had a little bit of a dicky tummy. And I said to Loz, I'm not too sure if I'm going to be well. I think Loz has touched on this on some of the interviews of Worlds. I was like, mate, I'm coming. Like, I'm coming. I'm not going to let you down. And that's been my thing. Even when I broke my arm at competitions, I've still turned up and all the other weird and wonderful, stupid things I've done. I've always, because I don't like letting people down. Like, I can't, just not my thing. So I said, no, I'll be there. So even though I've got a stomach thing, I've had, like, I don't know, just terrible. I've turned up. He's like, you're right. I said, yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Stomach's still a little bit ish. Went, okay, well, should we do the deadlift? Yeah, let's do the deadlift because Loz and I are mutual sort of strength at the time, similar heights, and I'm thinking, they're going, right, we're going to get ready for the deadlift. I'm like, my stomach's going, like making the whirlies, doing the rounds. I'm like, do you know what? We're just going to go with it. So tied up to the deadlift. Loz, you ready, mate? Yeah. I go, right, athlete's ready yet? And as I picked up, I've emptied my stomach in my rebounds.
Did everyone hear it? Did everyone know? Did they not? Did hear it?
Loz heard it. And then smelled it. He went, you just shit yourself. I went, yeah. He went, are you all right? I went, yeah. So should we carry on? I went, yeah. And we did 10 reps. I think we come first or second.
But you asked you mid-lifting.
Yeah, carry lifting. Well, not much else can happen, is it?
Did it drip out?
No. So the joyous thing about the rebounds,
they can suck
blue,
it up and tight.
It was like an adult nappy.
You still got those shorts?
Yeah, I have actually.
You're not one of those people who never washes them.
Never washed. Well, I had to waddle off to the toilets, and there was a disabled toilet there because it's also a bit bigger. Get into the toilet, disabled toilet.
Oh my God, must
down
be like
tools. Luckily, I still had my undies on, so I had a quick wipe round cleared the deck sort of thing with the undies, bob them in the bin.
It looked like one of the bodybuilders had come and sat down. And
I had a good clean off, and I wiped down, and then I had to obviously get rid of the bits and bobs in me. Luckily, it was only liquid and a few little bits, a few little lumps.
Yeah.
Clean them all off in the sink, give them a good wash out. And probably I'm thinking, I don't know how long I've been here. And there's people on the door like, you all right? Like, yeah, I'm fine. Just washing out.
Just leave me alone.
So I've done the rebounds and then turn them inside down, give them a quick dry, and put them back on, good to go.
Mate, that is classic.
He's been around for time. How did you start Strongman? Ask him that question. That's the original.
I started.
How did you get your first? Oh, come on. I'm leading you into this one.
I watched Strongman from Cars and Capes from about 8 years old. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Watched anything that was on the television like I was an addict. And then I did a bit of part-time work in a gym in Southsea. So I was doing the door in the evening and working in the gym in the daytime. And I'm there doing my normal bits. And in comes a young, fresh-faced Brycey.
Handsome as hell.
And he's got like a Eurosport t-shirt or something at the time you were working for someone, weren't you?
I had like a little mini crate of Sven Karlsson DVDs I was flogging at the time.
And I was like, I said, Colin, you're the chap who does all the pretending for Strongman. He's like, yeah. I went, and that was it. He couldn't do a workout. I was like, he must have. Following time, I went, I've just done this video.
So this is when Colin used to actually work out.
Did I charge you for the video?
No.
I didn't.
No, I said, I've just been working on this. It's like one of the first DVDs. And he gave me, and he had it had like a photocopied front. So it was one of the very first ones, Sven Karlsson, Viking Power. And I was like, oh my goodness. Went back home, I don't know how many times I've watched that. And we built up a bit of
friendship. He was massive. I saw this massive guy that I was like, geez, why didn't you got to do some more strong. You'd done like some local contest, just rolled up and did it. And I said, dude, you're strong as hell. Let's get into it.
And then 2005, he went, do you want to come up to Birmingham? Because it was at Dudley Castle. He said, do you want to come and do the test stuff? I said, yes, I'd love to. And then the day before, he went, oh, no, you can't come up to test the stuff. We've had a few people pull out. Can you come and do the competition? And I was like, yeah, sure. So
I wouldn't do it. I didn't.
You wouldn't do it?
Yeah. I think you were nearly doing it up to the last minute. You went, no, I can't.
Yeah.
No, it was a bit of a strange one because the federation sort of split and I was sort of signed to IFSA.
That's right, yeah.
So they were saying, oh, don't do it. And then obviously it was a difficult one, so I didn't do it.
You, Ollie Thompson, Felix, we're all IFSA, weren't you?
Yeah.
I was begging him. Must have had about 10 phone calls. Come on, Dasky. I need the credibility. Come on, man. Come do it.
That's good.
But anyway, big Rob.
Yeah, stepped up.
And then, so obviously, you've had your history in competing, then helping, coaching Eddie, things like that, helping Bish out.
Yeah.
And then now you're into the old arm wrestling.
Yeah. So I've pretty much broken pretty much everything on my body. Spine is in bits.
You've just about got a decent forearm.
Yeah, the forearm and the hand still
works. You're going to ruin that then.
So I've gone from one crazy sort of niche sport to another crazy niche sport, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Are you competing yet? You're on a...
I turned pro in the first year. So because of how well I did at the comp, they probably felt sorry for me being like nearly 15. I thought I'll give them a go. But I do like. But the time in the pro sort of reigns in that division now, which is tough.
If you want a quid yet? You want a couple?
No money.
Who do you
I've won-
compete for then? Is there like a league or?
Yeah, so there's the PAA, which is the Professional Arm Wrestling Association in this country, and they do bits in France and a bit in. There's the Worlds, which is in Turkey, which I'm hoping to go to October. And then there's obviously with Neil's Arm Wars. That's probably another progression I want to do in the future. And I think Loz has taken up a little bit of arm wrestling as well. And he wants to do a bit with Neil as well. For Arm Wars.
Have you tangled with him yet? Have you?
Yeah, he's strong.
Is he good? Is he?
Yeah, he's got a very strong pronation. Yeah, that'll be
But
good.
it seems like with that, like it's very much like, well, I suppose it is with any sport, but the same guys seem to be winning all the time, don't they? You know, when you look at the top.
Yeah, because I think it's like Strongman. Like you're right, Darren. It's like it takes a good few years getting up those steps. Once you're up on the top, you stay there for a good while until someone else has has the sort of tenacity in the bollocks, so to speak, to climb those steps to get as good as what you are. And likewise, it takes that a little bit longer with arm wrestling. A lot of the pros, the top boys, all in their 40s.
Yeah,
it takes.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, the Devon Larats, the Michael Todds, and Todd Hutchins, who's 56, still pulls like a train. The youngest guy, which is not the new boy, but he's been with us all around, not even 10 years, is Levin. I can't pronounce his second name. He's Georgian.
Levan,
he's
a monster.
I see Larry Wheels is doing it now.
Yeah,
as well.
Larry's good.
Yeah, Larry's doing it.
Did he come to it late or something? Is that why?
He likes to try everything, doesn't he? So he's done a bit of powerlifting, and he came to Giants a couple of years
Have you had a
ago.
little play with him?
Yeah, well, I met.
What was he like?
He's strong. Yeah, I met him over in his gym he trains at.
Benoos. It's amazing.
It's
That
crazy
gym.
gym, isn't it?
Love that gym.
And a bit too many mirrors for us to make one of. Well, you liked it, didn't you?
I liked it, yeah.
It was
No, it was a good
flexing.
gym. It was a good gym.
That was
It's
his
got
element.
Dad, he's not mirror reverse, Dad.
it's got everything in there. That
It's
gym. It's
a
unbelievable.
phenomenal gym, yeah.
It's not like all posh, and it's
Nah.
not, it's not like one of these
Nothing really
massive
matches, does it?
A lot of the huge gyms are all very like, but the chain gyms are all very much. This isn't. It's like almost like, they get like a really good private gym, times it by like 50 times as big. Yeah. It's like that. It's so
You
cool.
think you could beat Larry Wheels?
Give me a year, yeah, possibly.
How about Lalas? Have you heard a go at Lalas?
No, he's like a machine. He did arm wrestling before he did Strongman. He was like a national champion at
Is
15.
Lalas not going to compete anymore now? I thought he was going back to it.
I think he might go back to it.
I've noticed he's training a lot for arm wrestling.
He is phenomenal. He's got a hand. His hand's so strong.
His
His wrist so strong.
I
and his arm
I
is
with him once. I pulled out instantly. I
unbelievable.
couldn't believe it. It was like a piece of iron.
And his hand and his arm, that is massive as well.
it's
really
all thick.
Yeah.
Well, Terry had to go over there as well. Terry was good. But he had to go with his biceps and stuff because he had so many injuries in his biceps.
Yeah.
But his hand, where he's got such a good grip, his wrist is phenomenally strong.
Yeah.
Took him a long while to crack his wrist and to pull him over.
You were Larry. Who did him? Did you do it?
No, I didn't grip up with Terry, but one of the other guys that was training with Larry had a grip up with Terry, and they found it really hard to move Terry, and he didn't know what he was doing.
But normally people do that old movement when they first
he
start.
just held, like a bicep curl, just tucked him in, and the bloke's going hanging off the end of Terry. He goes, "Oh, I'm doing all right." I went, "You're doing brilliant, mate. Keep going. It's fabulous." But Loz is good. Loz has got a good hand. Larry's good.
Loz has got big hands, hasn't he?
He has got big meaty hands. Yeah,
He does, yeah.
Very similar to me. With
hairy
thick.
as well.
Yeah,
Little beards on every finger.
I don't think that makes sense.
On that note,
Cool. That's good. So that's my next step in life is arm wrestling. I love it. I think I love it, the training, as much as I did training for Strongman. It's because it's just so technical. Like all the bits and pieces of Strongman, it's very technical. You can be as big as you can, big and strong as you can. But if you don't understand how you move with a yoke or your position with a truck pull, it's one of those things you got to learn from doing it, and learn. You always learn more when you lose. I've lost more arm wrestling matches in the last 8. I've only been doing like 13 months, but I've learned so much from my losses because I know the positions I've lost in. So, but I just love it. I think it's absolutely fascinating.
So finally, you're in the World Championship final of arm wrestling. Who's going to hype you up how you hype other people up?
God, I don't know.
He'll just reverse the cap, like
Over the top slide.
Isn't that what slide in?
I don't know. I'm pretty good at doing it myself. I work on my own because I know my triggers and the triggers that I've worked with other people, then I can kind of reciprocate. I can bring it back into my own training. So I've got my own cues. My cues are my gum shield and my.
Okay.
But also, I
handle.
think in part, imagine in arm wrestling, a bit like all fighting, you have to be much more aware of what the other guy's doing. You've got to be ready for counterattacking.
Yeah.
You can't. It's awful easy, especially the powerlifting movement.
Yeah.
You should have that groove. All you have to do is scream your way through the groove. You know what I mean? It's a set movement.
You have to mirror your opponent, and it is the closest thing you'll go to unarmed combat without punching your opponent in the face. Because you're lucky I did boxing as a teenager for about 4 or 5 years, so I kind of understand that.
Well, there's the arm wrestling where you kick each other as well, isn't it?
Yeah, all a bit weird.
It's a bit weird.
I'm not doing that.
I mean,
not my Saturday. Come on, I'll be on the floor.
the whole sort of hype man thing. I mean, it's a bit of a strange one for us because we get like all the athletes want to bring their own people and all that stuff, which is cool. Then you get some people that are backstage that tend just to annoy the hell out of everybody. So it's difficult to get the right person that actually says the right things. But when Rob's backstage at a Giants Live, it's like, oh, it's fine because Rob, you sort of help all of them out. To be quite honest with you, like because you've competed with them and you know all the guys, they'll all go to you. Oh, Rob, will you do this? Will you help me put my suit on? But a lot of people tend to annoy people when they're getting ready to compete. So it's quite an art to be able to say the right thing. Probably because you've been a competitor as well.
I can think of a couple, but yeah.
There's a few
keep them
people,
nameless.
there's a few people that were like, no, we don't want him back there because he annoys everybody. But whereas everyone seems to go to you for just that little bit of a slap around the face and a bit of smelling salts and that sort of thing.
I often go to Rob for a little slap around the
slap
face.
around the face,
That's before and after the show. I just think you've got to dial it in. Everyone's at that professionalism where they're wanting to do something, and if I can help provide that little bit extra or be there for something and do something which is more proactive for them, and they don't have to worry, or there's things that we can all forget sometimes. And I'm terrible for structure and everything. I'm a little bit sort of I like structure. I think always a place. So I try and make sure that, like with Bish, I've got almost like a photographic memory of what he needs for what event. So I make sure that everything's all done properly. It's all in its place.
Come on, Rob. It's a family, And,
it is that as well. Yeah,
even though you finish competing.
I can't. It's weird because obviously
you imagine if you had to give it up.
I can't. No.
I mean, also it keeps you involved in the sport as well.
Yeah, I love it.
You got no place else to go.
Strongman is. I've always said Strongman is a Marmite sport. You'll love it, or you'll hate it and you'll never do it. You never see it again, or you'll love it and you'll always have it. You'll always do it, and I'll always do it. No, do I miss competing? Sometimes. Do I miss the pain and the ache for days afterwards and the calluses? No, because I've got arm wrestling for that. But the dynamic of the friends and it is a family. It's like it's awesome. I love it. And the behind the stage is just I'm getting a bit. What's the name thing about it? I love it. I absolutely love it.
Well, Rob, we love you being a part of it. And the next time you see this man, if not before, will be potentially when Bish attempts history, when he pulls 505 off the floor after this man gives him the words he needs to hear.
Oh, yes.